Hello everybody, welcome back to the stream. It's me, DIGI Driver. Today is Monday, May the 6th, and I'm here for a little bit of a quick blast. I'm going to try a project idea that I haven't tried in quite a while and that I think its time has come again. Hello Two-Face Disc, welcome aboard my friend. Very good to see you. Folks, by the way, if you don't know who Two-Face Disc 799 is, you might want to. Two-Face Disc is a friend of the channel and also has streamed in the past and is quite a prodigious individual, both on Twitch as well as off Twitch too. He's got some projects and some ideas going on. Two-Face, feel free to drop a link to your Discord or any links you want to put in. And folks, pay attention to him. He's got some plans. So if you like anything to do with, uh, you know, games online, or if you've done anything on DCS and you like that ecosystem, pay attention. Pay attention. So welcome aboard. And let me go ahead and close the browser window because we are in Flight Sim already. We're going to do something that I intend to try to see if I can do in one shot. We have done somewhere freeware scenery airports before, and I've released a few on FlightSim.to, including a private airport in I think northern Oregon. It's a private airport, 6 Oscar Romeo 1, but we're not going there today. We're going to go someplace on the East Coast that I think I tried once, but I lost my progress. So we're going to try again. Let me go ahead and reopen my stuff. Give me a bit. Oh, great. So here we go. I have my screen open. Ooh. Well, congratulations. Very happy for your bachelor's in graphic design. Congrats on making the grade, and wishing you continued success, my friend. Very happy for you. Very, very happy for you. Well, I'm happy that you definitely punched through and got your degree. So, um, I'll probably catch you on your Discord and any streams that you have. I'm doing okay. I'm doing okay. I'm not as flustered as I was a couple of weeks ago. I have had a chance to break away, spend some time with some old friends, and Mrs. DG and I went traveling. We came back yesterday, actually not yesterday, the night before, and I am resting today before I go back to work this week. Lord willing, I'm looking forward to a good straight shot into what I have to do at work, and there's still going to be lots of challenge, and there's still going to be opportunities for me to get frustrated, but at the same time, it's a part of my life right now. I have to accept, and I do that gladly because it means I have a job. So I'm happy about that, and I will, without hesitation, jump into the fray. I have been looking, and I've actually talked to a few people as well, so stay tuned for that. Otherwise, I'll definitely chat more about that in DMs or on my channel if you're curious. But let's just say I've made some interesting inroads. For one, there is something that I forgot to tell you about that I think I feel comfortable sharing with you, which I will send you a DM on later. But in the meantime, let's go ahead and jump into the sim and get started. I am looking for a place to go to, and no, we will not be taking the A320neo. Matter of fact, it's just going to be a small plane. Almost don't care what the designation is, but you know me, I like to be a little proper. So let's get some of that stuff out of the way. And now we're going to go to a place on the East Coast that I visited, I think, just once. So Myrtle Beach, the international airport, is here. There was a airport that I visited a little while ago, which I didn't actually do much on. I don't remember if it was Grand Strand. It might have been, but I'm looking for a possibly even smaller airport. Hey, thanks for the sub, Two-Faced. Really appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you. This was the airport. It was six, I think this is six Oscar Juliet. This is Ocean Isle. So we're going to go here and I'm going to see if I can actually redo this airport, do it in a stream, maybe create a few custom objects, and potentially do this as the first of a series of airports which I'm going to release individually on my Buy Me a Coffee page. If you folks don't know, I have a couple of other alternate avenues of support in case you're interested in supporting me. This is never required but always appreciated. If you go to buymeacoffee.com, I'm on buymeacoffee.com/digi123. I am seriously considering having memberships as an option, and they are turned on. There's a $5 and a $10 level subscription each month. And essentially, what I'm going to be doing, or at least what I'm planning to do, is to release one quickie scenery every month, an opportunity to keep my skills sharp, grow my skills, and release very, 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 very small airports for folks to download through the site. I don't know how I'm going to do it just yet. I'm working on that as I go, but I am interested in doing something about it because I would like to see what I can do. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into ramp 31 and get started. Now, we're not flying today, except maybe to test the way the scenery looks, but I can do that from the ground and I can do that with drone flights. But I am going to redo the standard scenery at Ocean Isle, which is going to be a little challenging considering I've never been there IRL, but the whole key is just to enjoy the scenery. Now, we're on the ground at Ocean Isle, and let's take a quick peek at the scenery and see what's up. Okay, there we go. That's better. Okay, so welcome to Ocean Isle. I think this is South Carolina, and we are a potential Digi Scenery product. I want to release this ASAP. So we're going to try to create a building, try to get this lit and cordoned off as fast as possible. I'm going to make some allowances, some concessions, if you will. But essentially what I want to do is I want to take this building and, well, take this whole airport and make it in one shot. It's not that big, and I don't think it's very complex. It's going to be a little annoying in parts, but other than that, it's going to be a quickie, maybe $2 or $3 airport. Yeah, this should be South Carolina. I think you're right. So I think North Carolina is just on the horizon. Literally, I think either just past or even before that major river or tributary. And this is a small airport with one runway, one FBO. So that ain't bad. Let me go ahead and get started. Unfortunately, I may have to go back to the main menu because I don't think I'll be able to make these work really well with these windows. This is not going to work out well at all. So, okay, I'll do this. I'm going to try one very quick experiment, and we're going to see if we can increase the resolution of the sim. Oh, wait a minute. We're at 3840 by 2160 right now. That's interesting. That might explain the size of the windows. Let me take it down to 1440p. Yeah, this is actually much better. I can see the menu a lot better. This is going to help me out. It's going to be offset. I'm going to be really weird going through these menu systems, but that's okay. And that's fine. So now we have, hold on. This is going to be tricky. Ooh-wee. Okay, hold on. Did I just move the window? Yes, okay, so I am so far off the top. Oh my gosh. This is just going to make this way too complex. Oh no. What do I want to do? Do I want to restart my sim to get a better handle on the window size? I think I'm gonna have to. This sucks. Okay. Well, all right. I'm not exactly digging this, but let's step into this slowly. Let me step into it. Ocean Isle. So 6, I think it's 6 Oscar Juliet Ocean Isle. And there we go. It's going to be a package, and it's going to be an airport. Okay, display title 6 Oscar Juliet Ocean Isle. And is this Ocean Isle Municipal, Ocean Isle Airport? Let me see. 6 Oscar Juliet IKO. 6 Oscar Juliet is Odell Williamson Municipal. Let's see. Ocean Isle Beach. There we go. So it is literally Odell Williamson Municipal Airport. So Odell Williamson Municipal Airport. It's an airport. Where are the... There we go, they're the buttons. Okay, is that spelled correctly? Let's see. Odell Williamson Municipal Airport, pretty sure. We're going to override the stock 6 Oscar Juliet Airport in the sim. We're not going to make a new one. And that should do it. And don't mind my chatty joystick. I've had a Xbox controller, Xbox 360 controller for many years. And I need to probably pitch the, try to fix the one joystick as it keeps kind of fading out. But let's do this. There we go. Scenery. Where are you? This is going to be tricky. Okay, so it's not that bad. At least I don't think. Figuring out all the click spots for this is just going to make this way harder. Challenge accepted. I wonder why it's not working. I might have to reload the sim. This is getting more and more tricky. Why is this so not working with me? This sucks. Inside the sim window, we're fine. So hold on. Let me try something. Layouts, smart docking, opaque when docked. How about always transparent? Oh wait. Let me see. Can I grab these windows at least? Okay, so it's more or less the same. No, this isn't helping. Okay. This sucks, and I didn't plan on this, but I'm going to go ahead and restart the sim. All right, so before I keep going, I'm going to go ahead and save my scenery. I think it already is saved. That's good. So, can I hide the window at least? Let me try. Oh, wait. Project menu. Inspector. Out. Can I move the inspector window? So it's not letting me move it, but it's letting me select it. That's weird. Yep. Okay. This is not working for me. All right. Standby chat. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and exit the sim and come back, and hopefully this will allow me to work better. Also, let me go ahead and switch over. And I didn't even realize that my window was actually not scaled well, so I apologize. All right, cool beans. All right, so sit tight. Let me go ahead and reboot. Not my PC. I'm just saying I'm going to go exit the sim. The UI inside the sim window is fine. It's the dev window stuff that's out of whack. So I'm going to try to do this again. Hopefully this time it will work. This was certainly not what I was anticipating doing in the first 20 minutes. So, no bueno. Otherwise, folks, I hope you're doing very well today. Good afternoon to you. Good Monday afternoon. Hopefully your work day was okay. I have been away for a little while. I should be returning to work tomorrow, Lord willing. And otherwise, I will be, I think, in the midst of a busy week this week and this month. So, uh, in one sense, I'm almost cautiously looking forward to seeing what this week brings because, you know, tomorrow the sun will rise and who knows what the tide could drag in. All right, so the screen size is good. Let's see if yep, this is good. This is loading nicely. Now, how about the dev window? Oh, no, wait, this was good. How about now? It's still here. Good. Let's see if the dev menu loads up. Amen. Amen indeed. Oh my gosh, thank you. Thank you for the reminder, my friend. I think sometimes I get too stupid to remember that that is the way things are. So really appreciate your companionship this afternoon. You are amazing, sir. I love your soul. Oh yeah, I mean I've seen many more uh, uh, Moni Sanchez streams. By the way, hope that she's doing well, and that you guys are well on our way to, shall we say, certain life-changing events, if you will. Yes, it is. It's nice to be reminded of that. Okay, now let's see. Can I actually access the debug menu? I can access the debug menu. It's slightly off, um, but let's see if we can go back to the airport. And oh, really? So it's okay. It's actually 6-0 Juliet. Excuse me. So we're gonna redo that. All right. I thought it was 6 Oscar Juliet, not 6-0 Juliet. Aeon, good to see you, my friend. Welcome aboard. Feel free to lurk. We do have lurk and unlurk commands as well. Exclamation point lurk, and it should be exclamation point unlurk too. I'm going to test. Yep. So we do have those. If you're into that sort of thing. All right, now I'm going to get rid of my old project and we're going to start over, and hopefully this time we'll be in a better spot. So give me just a bit. Okay. Get rid of my prior folder and we'll start over. New project. Oh my word, we're still dealing with a humongous offset. I don't like where this is going, chat. All right, so we're going to do it anyway. Where is the click spot for the... Oh yeah, we're way off the mark here. But we'll do what we can. 60 Juliet, and I believe it was Odell Williamson Municipal. Odell Williamson. Well, congratulations on the upgrade, my friend. Hopefully she's having fun and enjoying the new setup. Yeah, Odell Williamson Municipal Airport. So that's how it should look. Yeah, man, congrats. That's super dope. Okay, so now I think I'm getting a feel for the buttons and all these things. Would I like to see this be more open? Sure, I would. Why can't I open you now? Because I wasn't clicking on this far down enough? Well, I don't know, man. At this rate, this scenery dev stream is going to be shot before I even start. I'm happy she's enjoying it. So, okay, I'm a program. I don't want to work really well. Why is that? It seems like the click spots are affected by differences in resolution. So, first thing I'm going to do is stop being in full screen mode. Second thing I'm going to do is change my resolution. So sit tight, guys. Now my on-screen resolution matches the resolution inside the sim. That is much better, although it's messed with the screen a bit. So let me change that. Okay, yeah, we'll take this. We'll take this. All right, chat, we learned something today. If you're having difficulty getting your click spots to behave with your scenery dev project, what you're probably going to want to do is make sure your resolution of your monitor matches the resolution inside your game. Otherwise, the sim's going to have a conniption, so to speak, because you're not matching what's actually in there. I'm going to put this in here, and there we go. All right, so now we are officially in developer mode. And you can take a look at the airport. We're going to be getting rid of pretty much everything and starting from scratch because I want to actually rebuild the airport and see what I can do. I will most likely keep the standard satellite imagery. I'm not going to use Google Maps or anything enhanced, and we are going to go ahead and wipe everything. So probably the first thing I can do is change my camera view to top down. We will go all the way up until we can see the entire airport. Then we're going to cordon off the area, and then we're going to start removing objects. So I'm pretty sure the airport property starts where this road is to here. But there's also this kind of like trimmed out area here, so I'm assuming that's included in the airport as well. All right. Now, I should be able to select the airport, I think. But let's start with a few basics. 60 Juliet, Ocean Isle. No, we're going to use the official name. Odell Williamson Municipal Airport. And we have an asset directory, we have an output directory, and that's it. Now, I need to pick the actual... Oh, okay. I'm going to leave that alone. I'm going to leave that alone, actually. Ocean Isle Beach, manufacturer, that's for aircraft, I think. Yeah. Also, before I forget, I want to find a default thumbnail for now, because without a thumbnail, we will not be able to build. So let me go into my MSFS SDK. I'm going to go to, I think, sample scenery to get the small thumbnail. I know there's a lot that I'm spitting out really fast. I'll try to slow down a little bit to walk you guys through my process. I know I actually created the airport as well pretty quickly, but I'll explain a few things once I get that thumbnail inserted. So, I am working on what? I'm working on... Wait. Which folder is it? Which folder is it? It's 60 Juliet, so hold on. And it is 60 Juliet Ocean Isle. It's inside. Which one is it that I'm using right now? Oof. I'm assuming the older one would be it. Did I build it yet? Okay, I am a bit confused. Let me see. It's 60 Juliet. So which one is this? 60 versus 6 Oscar? It's hard to tell right now because I think I just like threw myself for a loop. But hold on. Just doing a little bit of cleanup right now. And the easiest way for me to fix this is for me to just get rid of one and see which one's left over. I'm going to take a look at something really fast. Stand by. Pentagon, good to see you, friend. Welcome aboard. This is 60 Juliet. Which one did I grab? Which one did I grab? I think I grabbed the right one. I think I did. Okay, so with that said, I should be able to pitch the other one, close the project, reopen it, and we shouldn't have a problem. So, sit tight, friends. Sit tight. I'm trying to go through this as quickly as possible, considering I'm already like 20 minutes behind. And let me close the project. Let me reopen the project. And this should be the correct airport. All right. Let's see. Do you guys have any sound at all? Oh yeah, you should be hearing the winds. Okay. Ocean Isle. And if I take a look, it is 60 Juliet, so I'm happy. Reload. And that's it. Now, I need to see something about the airport, so hold on. up here. Here we go. First thing I'm going to do is insert a default thumbnail. So I have to find the thumbnail again. And I should be able to pick the folder package definitions as a content info section. And I'm going to override the thumbnail with the one that I just copied. And now I should be able to overwrite the thumbnail. And bam. Okay, so we have a stock photo, which I will eventually replace. But here we go. We have a project, a base project. It was an airport. We overrode the stock airport for Ocean Isle. We have a content picture here. I believe you have to have a content picture here, otherwise this will not work. And now I should be able to hit the build all button and we should be fine. I do want to save the project. It shouldn't take very long to build because we haven't done much. Actually, we haven't done anything. And of course, folks, if you're having difficulty hearing me, or I'm too loud, or something's too quiet or too loud, just let me know. And definitely I'll try to adjust volume so that you guys are comfortable. And look at that. We just made our first build and we have no errors. That makes me a happy boy. Now, here's what I have to do. I probably have to cordon off the entire airport first. And you know what I forgot to do? I think I need to check the airport right here. Properties, there we go. So we have Ocean Isle. I could probably say something like Odell Williamson Municipal Airport. IKO. Region name, city name is going to be Ocean Isle. Region name, country name, United States. State name, South Carolina. And magnetic variation, I'm not sure. I can check the site out and see what AirNav tells me. Does it say it there? Airport's open to the public. ARTCC is Jacksonville Center. And probably the region is it that close to Raleigh? That's weird. I don't see a magnetic variation variable except for the runways, so I'm probably going to leave that alone. Object test radius 2,000 meters, we'll leave that alone. I'll put in Raleigh and just leave it that way. I'm going to star the airport so I can see it, and so anybody that downloads it can see it too. And it is not a closed airport, and I'm not going to do a flatten. I'm going to work with the lay of the land and flatten areas as I see fit. So right now, that should be all I need to do. I should be able to save and we can move on. All right, so step 1, we've got some basic details down. Step 2, we need to kind of separate the airport area. One-click placing should allow me to work with the polygons pretty well. And we're going to start over. I'm going to start from just inside the airport property, just past the tree line. And we are going to select the, I guess you could say, the rough outline for the airport. I think I'm going to follow just inside the tree line to chop into it a little bit and kind of let the sim retrim the trees right around the outside. Keep in mind, this is just me playing with the Sims SDK. I haven't done any custom scenery yet. I'm just getting started with the airport. This does take a little bit, so my apologies in advance. And if you're doing this with a polygon tool and you make a mistake, best thing to do is keep going. Do not stop. Do not try to undo your progress or delete the last waypoint you made, it's going to be so much easier for you to go back and to correct what it is that you did after the polygon shape is built than trying to actually fix it yourself. Like right now, I could probably even go further out into the road to kind of block off the property, which I might do, but I am not going to undo my progress or stop at this point because it's going to be way easier for me to do that after the fact, not before. And if you're worried that your lines aren't perfect or that you're, cutting into something, don't worry about it. Just keep going. I legit mean like just keep going. Like you're going to be so much better off doing that than going back to start over. I'm not being picky. This is just a voice of experience. You're welcome to create the airport however you want to. So now I think there's some trees in the tree line here. I might bring the tree line back in, but I'm going to leave it alone. I'm just focused on getting the airport property kind of marked off. And now I think that's it. So I've been holding down the control key while clicking with the left mouse button. You can see it's still sticking to my mouse pointer. All I have to do is press enter and bam, we're good. I'm not in Raleigh, Peter Mooney, but I'm not that far away from it. We're in a small airport called Ocean Isle. I'm sorry, it's not called Ocean Isle. It's in Ocean Isle Beach or just outside of it. But we are working on Odell Williamson Municipal Airport. This is a one shot for me. I'm trying to actually build this airport in one stream, and unfortunately, I ran into quite a time sink earlier trying to get my windows working properly. So it is what it is. Now, we have the airport property marked off. What I'm going to do is I'm going to rename this because I want to keep an eye on the things that I'm building. Ooh, I have not. I'd be curious to drive up there after flying into Myrtle Beach, which I've never done either. So let's see. Airport boundary. And what I can do is this. I could theoretically apply flatten, and it is a fairly flat area, but I don't know. I think I'm going to resist the urge to flatten everything. Because for one, there might be a particular reason why we're doing that. And for two, I don't know if everything here is where it's supposed to be. So before I do anything else, I'm going to work with the polygon lines that I've rendered because I don't think that building is a part of the airport. So now I can move this down. And again, if you want to be picky, if you want to just like adjust all the things, you can even add additional segments or points. You can add a point, and then essentially what's going to happen is you can take the extra point and you can move it wherever you want to go. So let's do this. This, I'm guessing, is the FBO, and it's probably not that big. So let's move it in or move that out. Pixel Penguin, hello, my friend. Welcome. Good to see you. Folks, let me catch up the chat real quick. Pixel Penguin and Peter Mooney are friends of the channel, and they also both stream. If you have not followed them yet, here's your opportunity to do so. You can click on their profiles, go check out their Twitch channels right now, give them a follow. Pixel Penguin does flight sim as well as other interests as well. I caught him doing a mass transit kind of bus sim thing on Friday. It was awesome. And Peter Mooney does do flights, also hangs out with Sim Caesar and does weekend fly-alongs. Go check him out. So let's see. Do I want another point? I'm going to add another point just to be safe, because it looks like I'm not like right up against the road. And this is just so I can kind of block off the airport property. Now, I have the option to do several things. I could, in theory, I could, in theory, um, apply stuff like a flatten and do all this other stuff right now, but I'm not worried about that right now. Hmm. I wonder why. Okay, now it's moving. I think I had like 2 extra points. Yeah, rule number 2. If stuff's not working out for you, don't freak out. Add another point, step into it slowly, not like I'm doing. And now I can keep adding points. And like I said before, it's so much easier for you to be able to simply tweak the polygon after you build it than trying to undo the work. And the reason why is because when I did that before, it's very difficult to choose to go back into polygon editing mode. So doing this usually works out better for me. And if you're looking at me and saying, "Hey, Digi, why are you adjusting this so much?" I was adding the general points for the airport from like about 10,000 feet up because I wanted to cover the entire airport in one shot, and now I'm just adjusting my lines. I will, I think, be happy with that. And now we can take this point and stretch it all the way out to the road. We're pretty close to, and now we're good. Now I can go ahead and go down the line and probably bring my points closer to that tree line. So now I can go and basically see where all these points are and bring them closer to what looks like the fence. We'll come back to that in a few. So this should be interesting. The point for me is to try to make this as, thorough and simultaneously quick as possible. So we're not going for perfection here, we're going for a finished product. And it's like, Digi, are you sure? I'm absolutely sure. I have done project after project, and the thing that usually gets in my way more insidiously than anything else is this desire to make sure the project is as good as humanly possible. If you are a content developer of any kind, an artist, a flight sim streamer, somebody working on a software dev project for a company, you know what I'm talking about. There's this desire that you have that sometimes says, no, I need this to be as good as it humanly can be. And sometimes the bottom line is you just can't control that. Like you literally will not be able to who designate that to the extent that you want to. It's just not possible. So the best thing you can do is move forward and execute. Excellent. Pixeled, like my expertise is at your service. You can always let me know. Hit me up on Discord with a DM or ask me questions about this. I'll be happy to help you out free of charge. We can go over the airport that you want to do. I could probably get on a Discord call, give you some basics, get you started, and tell you more or less what I've done and how I started doing this. I started creating airports in MSFS just using stock assets like stock objects and whatnot, and you can get pretty far doing that because what happens is what I've seen is that the what am I trying to say? The engine, the satellite engine creates scenery really well with with stock layouts The buildings, of course, aren't going to be a perfect match because it uses a very basic, or not basic, but very the generic buildings to match certain objects. The handcrafted or the custom sceneries are those things that you see that are like the Orlando scenery. There's certain airports that you might fly into, like maybe Albany, maybe certain parts of California, or whatever. There's certain airports that they make, and the rest of them are, I think, and forgive me if I'm wrong about this. I probably am wrong, but I believe the majority of airports are algorithmically generated. So you're gonna be in a situation where you're gonna be looking at default buildings a lot. Excellent. I'm glad I didn't crack you up. Had to. Stand by, guys. Be right back. Okay, everybody, I'm back. Sorry for the delay. I had to step out temporarily and just keep in check on Mrs. Digi to see if I can help her. She is chilling out with me today, and I have my pets with me too. Let's go ahead and jump back into this. I was going over the lines for the polygon for the airport boundary. Now, it does look like we have some tree line here, but I'm going to go ahead and actually exclude it and come back to it. It also looks like, at least in part, the surface is a little not rendered. So I'm going to do a few things. Oh, on top of that, the taxi surface isn't rendered? No, I think I know what goes on. I'm not sure if I've applied a default exclusion, but it doesn't look like I have. So first thing I'm going to do is get rid of everything. We're going to exclude all. So all the default buildings are gone. And I think I'm going to have fun creating a few basic buildings to replace the ones that are here. There aren't that many, so it shouldn't take too long for me to do that. I'm also probably going to build things from the ground up with some basic polygons or texture maps. But it's just going to be for the airport property. And that'll be a quick 1.0 release. So we've excluded all the buildings. We're going to get rid of all the vegetation that's in here. This is, I think, 100% vegetation coverage. So obviously this can't, this won't work. We can't land into a forest. So vegetation density is going to go to 0. And that means everything on the airport property is now removed. So the line that we made is now excluding trees from the tree line successfully. And I kind of like how this works out, so that's fine. Also, I don't believe this airport has an instrument landing system, so it's going to be a good weather airport, or an airport that probably at least has either a GPS or some kind of RNAV approach. I was checking to see if these are actually trees. I don't think they are. They might be bushes at best, but I don't think they're trees. Also, we're gonna want to work on the runway because obviously it's also not looking the best right now. So, what do we got? Exclude feature points, street lights. You know what? I think we're going to exclude street lights from the inside of the airport property. And we can probably also exclude roads as well if there's any traffic driving into and out of the airport, which it does not look like there is right now. If I stay on the road and let the traffic load in, there's one car coming down the street. It looks like they should be just outside the airport property. I think so. I so wish I knew how to mess with the road layouts for the sim, because I would be tempted to fix a whole bunch of stuff that's wrong. But that's okay. Do I want to replace any trees? Theoretically I could. I'm not going to worry about it right now. We've got the airport property restricted, so now we can go on to the second thing. Second thing is going to be working with scenery. Oh, I'm sorry, not scenery, the runway. Do we even have a runway? Oh, you know what I forgot to do? I forgot to do exclusions. So here we go. In the airport section, in the airport properties, I got to get rid of a bunch of stuff. I'm not going to get rid of approaches, but I'm going to remove anything to do with the actual airport property. So apron lights are going to be gone. Aprons are going to be gone. And I believe aprons are the name of the texture maps that you have on the ground. And I'm not going to delete frequencies. I'm going to delete any helipads that are here. I'm going to delete all runways, delete all starts, all taxiways, delete, I forget what vector placements are, and I'm going to delete all boundary fences and all jetways, all control towers. I don't think this is a towered airport anyway. And we're going to delete all painted elements, all light supports. What's that? Yeah. They're in the fridge. I'm going to delete all taxiway signs, and that should do it. And now all the physical objects that were associated with this airport are gone. Now, I'm not sure why it automatically got rid of the runways and taxi surfaces already for me, but that's okay. We have one runway, two sides, runways 6 and 24. So, AirNav tells me runways 6 and 24 are a 4,198 foot by 75 foot runway. So, let's go ahead and render 6. We're going to add it. And now we have runway 624. And we're going to set up the configuration. The heading for the runway is going to be 062 magnetic. So 62 magnetic, 61, 65. It kind of doesn't matter to an extent. It is 055 true, but the runway heading magnetic heading is 062, which is weird. Okay, 4198 by 75. And if we convert that to meters, it's 1280 by 23. So we have 1280 by 23. And now what we can do is we can move this up and put it in place. And my point right now is not to have a perfect placement. My point is just to get it put on the ground and begin messing with everything that's required. So we have the runway down. We have 06. We do not have any designators like left or right. It's just one runway. And we're going to assume a left turning traffic pattern. And what else is there? Not much, actually. Oh, pattern altitude. What is the pattern altitude here? Does it say? Traffic pattern left, elevation 32.4 feet. I don't know what the traffic pattern is. I don't know what the traffic pattern is. Traffic pattern is left, altitude. Nope, doesn't say. So 300 meters would be roughly 1,500 feet. That's what I'm assuming the traffic pattern is. So let's leave that alone then. And I can always adjust that later. So configuration is set. Materials, for now, I'm going to make it transparent. And you'll see why shortly. But in terms of placement, we're pretty close to where the runway is supposed to be. We might be off by like a couple of inches. But again, we'll figure that out very shortly once we start putting stuff down. We can also avoid ground merging. Ground merging actually adds some of the satellite bleed through to the textures for the runway. And I'm not going to color the runway just yet. So let's just keep it transparent for now. We can come back and fix the materials in a bit. And it looks like the runway is all one material, unlike KPYM, which has like a mixture of asphalt and concrete, or at least it looks that way. So, do I want edge markings? I do believe I want edge markings. So now that I have edge markings, I can kind of start playing around with placement. Let's go ahead and move the runway over just a touch. All right, let me undo it. and move it again. I can probably grab it from here, make even smaller movements. That might actually do it. That's pretty good. Let's go to the other side. Check it out. Okay, I'm happy with that. That's fine. Do I want threshold markings? I might. Yeah. So if you look carefully, you can kind of see the threshold markings rendering in. That's just the satellite imagery. And these are the actual threshold markings. Depending on how big I make the runway, they'll fill in more. But honestly, placement and size is about as good as it's going to get for me. Do I want fixed distance markings? Possibly, yes. Oh, I see. Okay. So, fixed distance markings render in nicely on this end. They don't render nicely on the other end, but honestly, I'm not going to worry about it too much. That's actually going to fill in because we're going to fix it with a little bit of displaced threshold. Okay, so touchdown markings, yes. I can't tell. Centerline, also yes. Number and designator at the end, also yes. And precision markings, I don't see them showing up, but I'm probably going to leave them there. And we're going to, let's see, do we have displaced threshold? We should. Primary marking, secondary marking, terrain, pavements, primary threshold. Do we have a primary threshold? I don't think so. I think we have a threshold on runway 24. So, oh no, no primary threshold there. Let's go back to 24. Do we even have a threshold? No, we don't. Oh no, wait, we do. Way in the back. Secondary threshold. We need probably like 50 meters. Okay, try 60. Ooh, wow, that's pretty close. Okay, so 61 meters is about bang on for the displaced threshold for the runway. 61.5. Yeah, I think so. Okay, we'll deal with that. And that's it. We have no blast pad. And approach lights. Let's see. Runway edge lights are going to be medium intensity, but they're... Let's see, do we have any approach lights at all? We have touchdown points without lights, and we have 2 light pappies. And we have obstructions, but we do not have approach lights. Approach lights meaning stuff like, I think, ILS systems, I'm assuming. No. So no lights there. We want Pappy 2s. And I think the lights are on the left side of 06. Let me see. Yes. We have the lights there. But I think the lights go here. 2 light pappies. So let's edit the position, and we will, can I adjust them? All right, let me do X bias and see what happens. Okay, that's not what I want. Z bias. Okay, that's what I want. That's pretty close. That's about bang on. Okay, great. So I need to adjust my bias a bit. 25, 25 and a half. And I'll take that. I'll take that. I will save my scenery and keep going. And now we have the Pappies on this side. Should the Pappies be at the touchdown point, though? Huh. That's a little weird, but whatever. Again, I'm really not going to question this much. I'm going to just render this as fast as I can. So, assuming the Pappies will be on the left side for the opposing runway as well, I'm guessing they'd probably go here. All right. Let's do secondary left would be 2 line Pappies as well. And we would edit the position. So let's do 300 meters. Nope, I want 360 meters. Nope, probably 350. All right, let's move them in and inset them a bit closer to the runway. So, kind of like before, let's see what happens when I move them over. Okay, 25 and a half, and then we're gonna push them forward a bit. Camp Route, good afternoon, my friend. Been a while. Welcome back. We are doing some scenery development today at Odell Williamson Municipal Airport. This is Ocean Isle Beach in South Carolina. I'm trying to do a one-shot airport today. I don't know if I'm going to succeed, but I'm giving it my best. If I do succeed, I'm going to try to see if I can make this available for people that are members of the Buy Me a Coffee program. I'm experimenting with a way to try to get some extra income to boost some projects. So I am going through the process of building an airport, and if you are interested or curious or know anyone that is, all they have to do is watch the VOD, and then essentially they'll be able to see the process from scratch, even more or less. But there we go. We've got the Pappies on the left side, the Pappies on the right side. Excuse me, the Pappies for both ends of the runway. And that should do it. There is no ILS system. And the runway starts are going to be pushed where they need to be. So, this is the primary start position. So we're going to push this all the way back to the beginning of the runway. Right around here, I want to say. Which makes sense to me. We'll adjust the heading slightly. Six, 0. That's interesting. Doesn't want to move. Okay, we'll rotate it by hand. Camp Route, I have been a busy boy. I have been dealing with a very busy schedule at work and just trying to do my best. Mrs. Digi had surgery earlier this year. She has recovered from it, but she's also dealing with some post-op things, not directly caused by the surgery, but as a consequence of, I guess, getting back into a healthier state of being. So we're trying to step through them as best we can. And I've also, like I said, been extremely busy pushing forward, trying to do the best I can. Complete freedom. Hello, my friend. It's been a long time. Glad to have you back. We're doing some scenery development work in South Carolina today. I'm trying to see what I can do to make this a very interesting airport to go to. There is the second start position for the airport. And we're like, I want to say 30 miles away from 30 miles away from Myrtle Beach International. Which airport? Ocean Isle Beach has an airport 60 Juliet. This is Odell Williamson Municipal Airport. So it's definitely a GA airport. You are not going to be landing an Airbus here unless you're having an emergency. And you could probably get away with having a CJ4 or maybe even like, Phenom or Mustang. And Longitude might be a little harder to launch off of here, but probably not impossible. Depends on just how you configure yourself for departure. I mean, like if you want to do it, you can. Thank you so much, guys. Really appreciate your support. And there we go. So I think our start positions are set. And that's it. Now, last thing I want to do is probably work on my signage for the airport. I wonder why some of the stuff went away. Let me see. ILS is not going to be a thing. Approach lights are not going to be a thing. Actually, wait. Approach lights? No, we're not going to have approach lights. Pavements. Secondary threshold. Okay, that's the setup. So lights. Runway lights are going to be... Runway edge lights are medium intensity. We're not going to have any center lights. This is going to be weird. We will have medium lighting for the edge. We won't have any center lighting. I'm not worried about terraforming right now, and we have edge markings. We don't have bias. Now, we were transparent before, right? Well, now we're done putting a lot of the runway markings down. So now we're going to go ahead and actually paint this runway. So it's not going to be transparent anymore. And look at that. Now you have the actual runway. If we get rid of ground merging, then the textures are going to be less influenced by the satellite imagery. If we bring ground merging back in, then ground merging is going to introduce kind of sort of some dirt or some depth to the runway surface. But on the other hand, it's not something I'm worried about, and I do want to kind of keep the painting and the markings set up the way they are. So we'll do that for now. I'm going to probably pick a slightly different surface. So we're going to pick a different choice, add a material, and the materials are... I can't pick a material? Oh, wait, hold on. There we go. Now I have to choose a material, which I'm probably going to drop in here. So we'll go with the Sobo Asphalt, and we will go with 5 black for now. Black actually does a fairly good job of mimicking what we currently have. I might color this to be a bit darker. So if I enable coloration, I should be able to change the color, but it's already, that's weird. It's already at 0 for everything, and it's pretty brown. It probably has to do with the actual texture I've chosen. So let me get rid of it. And I'm going to choose Asphalt 10. It's nice, but it's also not at the same time. Dark Cracked and Generic 5. Same material, Generic 3. Asphalt 10. It's been a while since I actually chose materials, so generally, definitely a an exercise in patience. Oh, wait a minute. You want to know what? Stick around. Yeah, that's weird. It must be that the color palette in the sim is a little bit different. So let me keep picking stuff. This is dirt. This is white cracked and road one. No, I'm gonna try to get as dark as I can with this because it's not working out. That's brown, which actually is a little bit more gray than I expected it to be, and that's black. So okay, we'll stick with this for now, and we'll just keep going. All right. And what else do we have? Ground merging. If I do ground merging, it looks interesting, but it does show how much bigger the other runway surfaces are. So one thing I could do is actually cook these numbers up myself with some custom aprons, but at the same time, I don't have time for that today, so I'm going to skip that. Let's go ahead and keep going as much as we can. We've got the base runway down, and it is a non-merged texture, so the satellite imagery on the bottom is not going to bleed through. What I'm probably going to do later is add potentially some extra masks to dirty up the surface a bit, if I can do that today. But now we have the actual runway surface in place. So we have the runway surface in place. The next thing we want to do is probably work on the surfaces for the taxiways. And excuse me, since we have the runway as asphalt 5 black, we're going to do the same thing with the taxiway. The taxiway is pretty short. It just goes to a few parking spaces. It does not go down the side of the tree line. It has been X'd off. So I'm probably still going to render that, but it's going to be a much brighter, much more cracked shade, which you're not going to be wanting to taxi through, especially if you want to keep your wings out of the tree line. So let me save this and work on, I think, my first apron. So I'm going to create some folders before I continue, just so we can actually do this correctly. This I'm going to delete. Oh, wait, hold on. I did not want to do that. I'm going to move that into here. Back up. We're going to get rid of this group because I want to do an outside group here. There we go. This group I'm going to name polygons. The sooner you can group your objects into things you can easily go through, the better it's going to work out for you. So, next thing I'm going to do is create an aprons folder. But not until I actually create my first apron. So we're going to pick the apron, which is basically another word for textures. And we are going to create an apron for the main taxiway. Now, since the apron also bleeds off into this parking area, which looks like it's paved really well, we're going to go ahead and create the apron, the first apron for the first part of the taxiway, the main taxiway. So without taking too long, we're going to go ahead and start creating the apron textures and hold on the control key and off we go. You're basically holding down the control key and left clicking with your mouse. Once you click left once after you have the one click placing option turned on. And you can get right down to level and start working on the individual points that you're placing. The sim might help you out a teensy bit with where the textures might get rounded off, but you probably don't want to expect too much because it will render some angles or some segments. So if you can add a little extra detail when you're adding your points, do it, and then essentially that will make things at least marginally easier, especially when you're dealing with curves. If you're absolutely confident that your parking areas are very, very rectangular or very, very, non-curvy, you probably won't have to put in as many segments as I do. But I do this so that I can more easily adjust my points without adding too many other points after the fact. Again, your mileage will vary and it's totally up to you. What we're doing right now is we're creating an apron, which is going to essentially allow me to put a texture down, which you will see momentarily. And in theory, you can also enable layering of aprons, which you'll see momentarily as well. I'm not putting everything down just yet, and I'm probably going to remove or hide the layer once I've rendered it so that you guys can also see some of the areas underneath it. I'm not going to struggle too much with this. Oh, you know what? I'm probably going to get rid of some line segments after I'm done because realistically, it shouldn't matter what this looks like. I added some extra line segments. I don't want to delete and lose my progress, so I'm just going to go ahead and keep going. And I should be able to loop around and keep going this way too. Like I said, I actually built this airport up a little bit before, but the problem was that I didn't save my progress, so I lost the airport. I think what happened was I either rebooted or I didn't actually back up my airport and got rid of like what I call temp files, which unfortunately were all the files I rendered here. So, sad face, but that's it. And I'm going to keep working on this as much as I can, but if I get to, say, 5 o'clock and I'm not done with the base design for the airport, I'm probably going to stop where I'm at and maybe work on one or two base buildings and then put them there and see maybe if I can render this tonight and upload it to my Buy Me a Coffee account. But I am trying to get more serious about creating scenery and working with the built-in ecosystem. I do not actually have I don't actually have the ability to sell on the Microsoft Marketplace. I think you have to either apply or go through some kind of a waiting period, and I probably should have done it anyway just to be able to get on the Microsoft Marketplace. But it's one of those things where it's like, oh, okay, I guess I didn't do it. But you live and you learn. Okay, so back up the pipe here. We're going to go ahead and actually plug this in here. Again, do not freak out if you are laying down surface and you just or you're not getting it right. You can go back, you can adjust these points. You can adjust these points after the fact. So don't go nuts. Let my headache be your Tylenol. So I would say as you get better and better at it, you'll probably be able to put down points with more ease. But again, do not freak out. Oh, and my policy with placing down points for aprons, I'd rather have too many than too few. Too many means you just delete the ones you don't need after the fact. Too few means you'll just keep adding more points or subdividing line segments to produce more points that you can move into place. That's not impossible. You can do it that way too. It just requires, a little bit more poise, poise, control. So it costs less personally for me to delete points than to create new ones. Now, it's tricky because you kind of don't know always or ever how you actually render these things. Sometimes you can feel like, hey, this is going to come out looking pretty good, and then you suddenly realize, oh no, like this is not right at all. So there you go. I think I'm going to include the painted area as well. And now we're here. And for the sake of simplicity, I'm probably going to make these larger and larger points of separation so that we don't mess around too much with a general straight line, but we still keep multiple segments in the event we have to actually add more points again. Because like I said, you kind of thread a line between not having enough points and having too many. And this is also, I can put down a base layer for the asphalt surface for the taxiway. And of course, on a curve, you want to, add as many points as you want to or you can. And there we go. Just like that, we have the makings of our first apron texture, which is going to serve as the primary means of locomotion from and to the runway. And now we're done. We press enter, and now we have the entire surface plotted. I can get rid of the one-click placing and get rid of the red error, and there we go. Now, step one, this is not the way I want it to look. So I need to choose my surface texture, which again is going to be probably asphalt 5. Actually, I'm sorry, generic 5. Is it generic 5? Let me see. It should be asphalt 5 black. And don't mind my weird, funky DirectX 12 issue. I think this is DirectX 12 problem. I'm not worried about it. I think I'm going to remove the ground merging, because if I need to see where the points come in, I can always hide the surface. Ground merging gives you a clean texture to work with, and you can also make this transparent so you can see what's underneath it, which is going to help me when I render taxiway lines and such. So we've got this down for the surface, and I'm going to create an aprons group, which is going to come in handy because we're going to be rendering a lot of them. Apron, and this apron is the main taxiway. Main taxiway and paved area 1. So taxiway and paved parking 1. So now we have the first area covered. We're going to create another apron for this area, which is a slightly different shade of apron, which you'll see now. One click placing again. We click left. We have that dot on our mouse pointer. And now we're going to place it down again. Again, do not panic or freak out about where these lines are supposed to go. Easiest thing for you to do is just start placing and then figure out where you want those lines to be once you're done. Once you realize you wield a lot of power in terms of determining where you want your lines to go and not freaking out too much about where they're placed, you can really start to kind of rip across the landscape with your textures. Like, genuinely, you don't want to take too much time thinking about it, because there's going to be certain limitations that you won't be able to follow through with anyway. So that's fine. All right, so we're going to make some slight adjustments after I get rid of one-click placing. Now I can pick the individual points, and I can click the point, move it a little bit, and then do the same thing. Probably do the same thing here. The closer you get, the more control you'll have. And now I can kind of see from an extended distance whether or not I need to adjust these points more. Kind of looks like I do, and that's okay. In one sense, I'm kind of happy that this is white, because it's really easy to tell sometimes whether or not something is rendered correctly. And now what we can do is pick a different taxi texture, and this is where we can use a different shade of asphalt, like generic 3. And it is a little bit different than what you have out here. It's almost like it's not quite there. Generic 3 cracked is even way more descriptive, but if that's not the case for you, then don't worry, just pick a different texture. Generic is interesting, but I don't want that generic. Generic 4, I don't think, okay, there we go, there's generic 4. Generic 4 might actually not be that bad. So let me get rid of ground merging. Generic 4 is definitely generic, and I could probably do some coloration and potentially, that's interesting. It doesn't, oh, there we go, that's the thing. You can control the extent to which the texture actually appears, and if you do that, you can really pay attention to the difference in coloration. This looks a little weird from a distance. It looks like it's just like becoming blocky and splotchy, but not worried about that right now. I think this might benefit from some ground merging, because we're going to have planes parked here, and this way there's a kind of breakdown, but at the same time you see the colors, the placements of the original taxi points. So I'm still kind of like uncertain about that. All right, so now we at least have that, and I can probably hide the other apron as well. But we're going to rename this paved parking 2, and now we have 2 aprons for the areas here. Now what we can do is we can probably continue adding additional textures, or we can back off a bit and work on something else. I'm probably going to add some base texturing for the rest of the area here. I can probably really create something funky and nice for the area, but this is also a default placing of vehicles. It's a default car park or parking area. We can get way more fine grain with where the cars are placed. We can place them ourselves, and to do that we can exclude this area and then create our own. I'm not going to create a car parking area that's random. I'm going to actually hand place the cars myself. So To do that first, I have to go to Objects. I'll save my progress, of course. And then we're going to go ahead and choose, I think it's called an exclusion rectangle. Yeah. So we are going to add an exclusion rectangle right now. And instead of excluding all objects, we're going to simply exclude car parking. And I should be able to adjust these lines so that we don't have to exclude everything else everywhere else. Unfortunately, I don't think you can rotate this. I don't think so. Oh, can you? No, no. You cannot rotate. You cannot rotate the rectangles, and I don't know why, but that's just something I'm going to accept. Now we have a significantly smaller exclusion rectangle. You're not going to see cars parked there automatically, and now you can hand place cars yourself. So we're going to create an exclusion rectangle group. I'm going to move this out to the main root level. I want to do that so that I keep things neatly organized. And what we've been streaming for probably about an hour and a half at this point, and you can see how complex the directory structure is getting already in the scenery editor folder. So we're going to do that. Exclusion rectangles. Okay, so now we have the exclusion rectangle, and this exclusion rectangle is going to be a FBO parking exclusion rectangle. And that's it. So we have that there. We have the airport boundary polygon. And what else do we need? We have the textures in place for the aprons. So I can draw them and we will see what they look like. Now what I can probably do is put in the rest of the textures for things like the driveway, the entrance. This looks like a somewhat narrow entrance, but those are cars, and cars are fairly wide in general, so let's go ahead and fix that up. To do that, we're going to add a few more aprons, and we're going to do this as fast as we can. So let's stop what we're doing, keep it on default. Oh, before I do anything else, click out, then do one click place and left click. And now we can figure out how we're going to actually create the rest of the apron textures. This I'm probably not going to mess with too much. It's just like dirt. So I'm going to leave those there. I'm not sure if this should be here, but I'm going to render it anyway. And I'm going to start putting in these textures now. And I am kind of deliberately going over the other texture that's put down because I want to see where it goes and also not get involved with the other textures that are there. If you see all this happening where you see the satellite imagery underneath the textures, that's just, I think, a DirectX 12 issue. You can kind of zoom up and zoom down and just get a temporary respite from it. So I have deselected one-click placing. I can now work on exactly where these textures are going to be placed. You can get right down to the ground if you want to and pick where the texture should go. And let's bring this closer to where this is. There's a gap here, so I'm trying to close the gap without really getting too far, out of the way. And we can adjust the other side too. And then we can do this. In one sense, yeah, I know like this can be like boring, but getting the entire thing done to a level of quality that you want, that's kind of part of the journey. You either are going to want to do this, you know, nicely, or you're going to want to do this quickly. And realistically, you choose your own adventure. You decide whether or not you want this to look a certain way or not. If you're making this for yourself, like, I don't get to tell you how to do it. You can do that. Oh, looks like subdivide edge is actually what I want to choose instead of simply adding a point, because adding a point adds it right on top of where you are, versus subdividing basically puts the extra point either behind of or in front of the what I'm trying to say, the point of the apron that you're actually working on. And we keep subdividing so that we can create curves. So I can subdivide again and then bring that curve in and introduce a slight curve to the road. Scenery development for me is something that I like doing. If you don't like dealing with, you know, complicated or tricky things, or you don't like working with polygons per se, this might not be how you want to spend your evenings. You might just want to, pay whatever amount of money it is it would cost to buy, Vertical Sim or Any Builds or FSim Studios or whatever. Like me, I kind of look at an area and I go, I wonder if I can make this myself. And that's just how I am. Like I was kind of like that before, years ago, when I was working with the sceneries for Flight Simulator 98 and even a little bit with FSX. It's just that I didn't get around to actually learning the system or learning any new editors to actually render scenery. So that's my bag. Like, I understand not everybody wants to do this. That's okay. It's all right. You can actually you don't have to create scenery to enjoy yourself in the sim. For me, though, this is the kind of thing where I look at it and I go, well, this could actually look better. So that's what I'm doing. Also, I'm not aware of anybody else that's made Ocean Isle scenery. So this is kind of a first. Oh, I went the wrong way with that. So let's go ahead and pick the different edge and move forward. What's happening? At 435. All right. So I'm moving. I'm moving. And we keep subdividing the edges to create a better curve for the entranceway. And now that is, in my opinion, good enough. So display name, I don't know what you would call this. Service road for parking area 1, paved area 1. Yeah, I guess so. Service. We could say back service road for paved parking 1. And what we can do is we can move it into the aprons folder by doing this, choosing that, moving it to the targeted group, and now there you go. So the more you work with grouping, the easier it's going to be for you to organize yourself. Like that. See? You've got exclusion rectangles, polygons, you've got the scenery and the aprons. If you had everything in one area, You could still access it, but it would probably take you longer to go through all the individual selections. And I have sceneries where I've done that. It's like, wow, it's going to take me a while to sort this out. So there you go. But let me choose this texture. And now we're going to choose a different material. It's going to be a lighter asphalt texture. Generic 3 might work. It might actually work. That's pretty close. That's actually pretty close. I think I'm going to leave it like that for now and then come back to it later. So I don't know whether or not the service road has anything to do, and if there's like a gate and fencing here, but I'm not going to worry about that right now. That's one area as well. And I'm probably going to make another service road for the parking area here too. And I think we are going to have some fencing in place. We definitely will. So now that we have this down, I can click away, get another apron built, and the same process continues. We pick points, we render, and essentially we create the entranceways, and then we're done. And this will probably be back service road for paved parking 2. Back service road for paved parking 2. Remove one-click placing and me just fixing my capitalization here because I'm picky. And you can't drag these over. That's interesting. Bit of a bummer, but I'm not worried about it. Did I actually do a ground merge here? I might have. I'm assuming I did. So these are going to be such that I'm probably going to put vehicles right on top of where those splotches are. So I'm not going to worry too much. I am going to get closer off the road. And that's it. Let's see. I'm probably going to keep this either as generic 3, or I'm probably going to make this a little bit dirtier version of the service access because it's this pavement's like older, so to speak. Asphalt rough 1 would be it there's definitely a significant difference. So let me see if adding coloration helps. I feel like that might actually work. And I don't know why there's this kind of like pretend pothole here, but that's okay. And actually the coloration is not that far off the other road, so I think we're good. The only other thing I'm going to change is the rotation. And I'm also going to scale this a bit more so that the lines don't look as bad. And that's it. And here we go. Now, again, I want to do some adjustments. One-click placing is off, so I shouldn't have a problem. And we're going to just kind of cradle these points around the existing points for the other texture. And we're going to stretch these out some more. And again, you can subdivide edges to get better control over curvature, if you will. And once you figure out when you subdivide which way the points get generated, you'll know more easily where to actually put your mouse and how to click on stuff. And there you go. And yes, I know I'm focusing on an area of the airport that you're probably not going to pay too much attention to in general, but I like putting attention to detail like that. That makes me happy. So that's kind of like my signature in a sense. The scenery is still nothing to write about just yet, though, so it's all right. So now we're going to leave it like that. I'm fairly pleased with that. I am actually. So I'm not going to freak out. We've got most of the aprons down. There's just one more I have to do, which is basically going to be this. And I think I'm going to skip having this be matched perfectly. I'm just going to make this one apron, and then we're going to have the apron for the parking area down, and that way we'll be done with most of the ground cover. And just like that, look at that, we've almost fully textured the trafficked areas of this airport, and even some of the non-traffic ones. All right, so let's go ahead and pick one more default, and now we can get started. This strangely looks a lot less curvy than I would have expected it to be. So I'm not going to freak out about it too much. And we're going to put these lines down as best we can. The building is going to hopefully sit over most of this texturing, so I'm not going to worry about placement. And we are going to move this out. All right, and there we go. That's the last parking area down. Remove this and start working on it. And this apron is called what? Let's see. I'm going to say FBO entrance and parking. And now we can move these into place. And mess around with the placement. Subdivide the edges. And let's see what we can do. I'm really not going to freak out too much about this one because this is really going to be a weird curve. I almost don't even want to care about it. Like in an area this small, you're going to start to get the you're going to start to get the sim kind of stepping in for you and helping you with curvature and all the things. So it's definitely not something I'm going to commit a lot of energy to. And there we go. There's a parking area. Now, if I hide it, the surface does look almost as white as that. But it's taxi concrete surface. I'm not gonna keep that. We're gonna pick something else. So we're gonna choose something different. I would say. Whew. Material. I want a lighter material. Generic 6. I could probably make it lighter. Generic 4. It doesn't look like a big deal. Road 1? Not Road 1. Generic 3 cracked? Theoretically maybe, but I don't know if I want to use cracked texturing on that. I could scale it so it doesn't look this bad, but I'm trying to come up with a better match. Theoretically, this is pretty close. Let's color it a little bit darker. Okay. And if I keep the coloration the way it is, I keep the ground merging the way it is, it's going to look a lot... Actually, you know what? This doesn't need ground merging. Okay. All right. So, what do I want? What do I want? Do I want other ground textures? Only other thing I can think of would be creating the textures for the abandoned segment, which we could do in one sense right here. So let's do this. Let me try, because eventually we're going to want to have the indication that this is not an area you want to taxi through. So even though the tree line might support a tiny plane going through, like a pipistrelle or something, this is not going to work for us. So we're going to create some aprons, and then we're going to spec out that texture all the way out there. Back to aprons, and we're going to do this in 2 steps. All right, so this is piece 1. This is going to be the unused main taxi fall off, and the texture is going to be darker, probably cracked. This is one area we'll probably be able to use a cracked texture and get away with it. Let me see. So I need to put my points better. Come on. There we go. I can probably leave them exactly this way. Subdivide some edges. That's great. Subdivide this edge. And now we're going to start bringing these points in. And save my scenery because I haven't done that in a few moments. And 4:51, we're coming up on 5 o'clock, chat. I want to make at least one custom object tonight. And it doesn't have to be very detailed. It can just be a straight square box with some stuff, but I'm going to want to at least put a modicum of effort into the hangars or the other support buildings, which I'm not sure what the reason is for they're further on the runway, but whatever. And we're going to take this and we're going to move it down a bit more this way. And now we're going to take this and we're going to move these down and keep this consistent. Keep this consistent with the placement. Okay, so now we have a surface, and now we have basically a kind of like crumbly fall off. I could go with generic 3 cracked once I get my textures to load back in. Come on, friends. There we go. Nice. All right, textured tiling. We can go smaller, smaller, smaller. The problem is that at that level, the cracked textures are not going to look that big, but at the same time, I might not need them to. It might actually be better to do that. Unless I want asphalt rough. No, that's not going to work. We definitely want either dark cracked or generic 3 cracked. So if we take generic 3 cracked, there's definitely going to be the sense of, whoa, like we should not be going here. And that is where the asphalt kind of breaks off. So we're not going that way. And now we can start working on the remaining pieces up top. And I'm not sure if I want to like make this all one slab or if I just want to color this in sections. I'm going to make this all one slab for now, and we can always come back and touch it up. So I'm going to go back to choosing my aprons, and we're going to start over. This is definitely not going to be a, supremely intricate placement. This is very, very, very long. What purpose this might serve might actually be to create a navigable surface if you feel like being a knucklehead and taxiing where you're not supposed to go. And certainly bear in mind, you can put multiple textures on top of each other with different orders of priority. I'll probably show you that next, because it looks like I'm not going to be able to make everything, correct or proper. I can't decide whether or not the textures here were asphalt or concrete at one point. So we're going to see how this works out. And then we're going to see whether or not this works. Period. Also, I just remembered to ask myself a question. Does this airport have any kind of... It has nearby VORs, but I don't think it has any kind of navigation aids. Or excuse me, not navigation aids, landing aids. No, I don't think so. So, let's keep going. I'm going to give myself 10 more minutes, and then I'm going to cut myself off with regards to the rendering of the airport surfaces. I want to make at least one building today as a way of saying, hey, we actually got something rendered. So in theory, since this airport's a general aviation airport, it's non-towered, and it has no ILS, I'm not going to worry much about frequencies or anything like that. We should be good for the most part. I am going to finish the ground texture rendering, and then we're going to probably hop into Blender for like maybe 20-30 minutes, render a building, render the building, put the building inside the sim, and then the pre-alpha will be complete. So let's go ahead and finish this layout. And now I can start pulling my render points further and further and further back, more or less, and just make sure that we're good. And this is probably going to be a like concrete slash dirt slash broken down slash there should be no reason you should be putting your taxi wheels in this pavement. And now we have our broken taxiway rendered. So this gives me the chance to actually fix these points which I rendered before, clean the rest of this up, get rid of a couple of points which I don't need, or at least just one. And that's it. Now we have the rendering of the taxiway, but again, remember, this is not a taxiway. This is not compatible with any kind of even remotely serious taxiing because of the fact that, number one, you're right up against the tree line, and number two, this taxiway is marked out with an X. So let's go ahead and do this. I'm going to pick the cracked surface. Actually, I'm sorry, not cracked surface. I think, broken concrete. And now we should be able to finish this. This is what? This is not labeled. This is invalid taxiways. Okay, so now we're going to move this into the aprons section. And now we're going to pick a different texture for it. I'm going to assume we're dealing with concrete. So I'm going to do concrete 6 dirt and see what it looks like. No, that's still too clean. Those tiles should just be completely broken down. So dirt gray 1. Nope. It needs to be absolute dirt. Square dirt. No, not even that. Although that does make an interesting appearance. Concrete bare. Nice idea, but no. And that's also workable too, but no. In one sense, this could work quite nicely, but at the same time, it's too descriptive. So let's do cement dirt. No, it's too broken down. That's not what I want. That could work, but it's so bright. Let me see, what else do we have? Give me one more chat. So, not dirty asphalt and not grass. We need... Nope, that's not it. Concrete moss? It's a nice idea, but again, it's not like, I don't want this to be generic. I do kind of want it to look the part. That's definitely not it. What did I see before? I think it was either concrete bare or dirt. Cement dirt? No. I saw this before. Square beige? Nope. Square dirt. That I like. There we go. Okay, so now we got a really kind of broken down texture. This looks really nice. What I want to do first off is probably make this a little bit darker so that the yellow X's stand out. And it does fit the bill. It really fits the bill. There's a lot of distress in the texture. So 304. 303. 304. No. 305? Quite possibly. Quite possibly. Okay. Opacity, I want it to be opaque, and it's interesting just how loose it is. Give me better tiling, or just leave it the way it is. So now we kind of have dirt kind of covering on top of the grass, or concrete on top of dirt on top of grass, which kind of makes this look nice. Let me tile this up a bit more. And now this really looks good. Let's see. There are parts that are just quite kind of like washed out, and there are parts that are dirty because of the fact that the ground merging has beefed this up. And believe it or not, I did not have in mind to keep the ground merging, but now I really am, because it really makes this look like this should not be used as a taxiway at all. Give or take. Give or take. So let's see. Coloration, let's me play with the color. If I do this, what does it look like? It does not look good in one sense. I don't think we need coloration at all. I don't think so. I think this is good enough for me to use as a, don't come here, this is really broken down. So all I would need to do at this point is basically create these X's and then render them later. So, you know what? For a surface rendered airport, we're not doing too bad. All I would probably want to do at this point is create these buildings, which look like kind of like hangar-esque buildings, maybe for service trucks, maybe for fire trucks, fire vehicles. And then I could also put in like a fuel box somewhere where I would put the windsock, which I'm assuming is probably going to be wherever they can see it, like in this area around here, because you're going to want to see the windsock when you're taxiing out. And there might be 2 windsocks that need to be put here. I don't know that for a fact. I could. So let me do this. Let me go ahead and save the scenery. I'm going to build the scenery. But before I do that, there's one thing I have to do. In order for us to get to a place where we can actually taxi, we need to actually have taxi paths. So I'm going to put 1 taxi path. We have 2 start positions, and then I might put 1 start position here. So we're going to get rid of the texture so I can see where the start points are, and then we're going to figure out how to get the taxi lines rendered. which means I'm going to make this go away as well, just so I can see what the taxi lines are, and that's it. So now we're going to switch from aprons to taxiway points, and we're going to create normal taxiway points with one-click placing, and we're going to start here. And with taxiway points, you actually just need to keep clicking the left mouse button. Don't worry about how the taxiways are being rendered, or you can come back to all that and do it and get rid of that placement yourself. But we're gonna start with, oh, you know what I can do? I can probably stop right now. So we're gonna do this. We're gonna stop. We're gonna go to the taxiway path properties by clicking on the paths. We're not gonna draw a surface. We're not gonna draw a surface here either. And then I think I have to click on the last taxiway point and then go back to one-click placing. And now we are placing taxiway points again without actually adding to the rendered surface. And we're going to put in taxiway points wherever there's a directional change possible. Right here and right here. And then I'm going to put a directional a taxiway point where it goes into a thicker taxiway line, kind of like getting ready to depart. And then we're going to break this up, put a taxiway point here, one here, one here. We're going to kind of cut into these curves, and then I'm going to make some general assumptions about where the taxiway lines are going to go. And I think that should probably do it. So there's your taxiway line, and if I hide the runway, which I can't see right now because of the fact that I do not have the runway selected. Hold on. Runway is over here. Show me the warning. The warning says, what does the warning say? No hold short in less than 200 meters of the runway. Okay, that means I need to create a hold short point. So, all right, for starters, stop and look again. I want to make it transparent for now, and I'm going to also take these taxiway points and move them. And then with taxiway points, I'm not necessarily concerned by where they wind up. Now I think I can take a look at the runway again. Yeah, so there you go. If I actually take the runway start point for the primary, I should be able to move it just a little bit further up. And that might be enough for the AI to discover that's where it is. So we need to make one of these lines for the taxiway, one of these points, a hold short point. So now we pick this point, and now I should be able to change it to hold short, or I'm sorry, not ILS hold short, hold short. And that is the placement for the hold short point. We obviously don't want the hold short line to look that big, so we're going to do a hold short no draw, and we are going to draw the hold short lines ourselves. But for the sake of having the sim actually recognize it as a hold short point for the runway, we should be fine. Now, remember that conversation I was having about how we can group items together to make it easier to go through them? All I did was make one taxiway from the parking area that the plane is at to the runway. And that's already like 20 plus points. If you were doing this for a major airport, you would be swimming in um, data, to coin a phrase. So you definitely want to make sure that you put your stuff into a place you can easily access it. So we're going to do this. We're going to add this to a taxiway group, taxi points and paths. And then we're going to move all these other points all the way down to here into that placement. And now, bam, you don't have to be freaked out by all those points. And you can hide them as you wish. Now, taxiway paths, we probably want to render what am I trying to say? We probably want to render them, but if we didn't, we could create lines ourselves, paint them, and then we'd have more control. So there we go. So now we have a hold short point, which means we can take off from point 24 or 6. I'm not going to get the taxiway line to go all the way down. We're just going to go ahead and have you spawn in at the other end. Sorry. Let's see. I should be fine now. So now we have a taxiway. Now we have the ability to take off from here, and we can keep going. So that should be everything. Hold on. The taxiway is there, but the one thing that you don't see is the actual taxiway line, which we haven't made yet because we have not painted those lines. We can do one of two things. We can either make the taxiway paths paint the lines for us, or we can render those lines ourselves. Now, I kind of like rendering the lines myself because it's easier to control them. Although, in one point, you can color those taxiway lines whatever you want to. So, for the sake of this tutorial, it's probably just easier to draw the center line. And I'm relatively sure these are not going to be lit center lines. And you can also, instead of just doing this for every single taxiway path that you have, you can right-click, say select linked path, and now you have the entire taxiway that you just rendered selected, and you can say center line, and bam. You have center line rendered, and you don't have to spend time going through all of it. Now, we're certainly not done by any means, but we do have a taxi line that's rendered. And if we wanted to, we could even color it and make it white. The only problem seems to be, oh, you know what? That's coloration for the surface. I get it. I don't think you can make... Yeah, see, that's the problem. With choosing a default taxiway, the center line is going to not be colorable, which means you're not going to have the choice of making that center line white or yellow or whatever color you want it to be. So you kind of need to go with a painted line to really get what you want out of it. Yeah, exactly. You need to paint your own lines. That's usually the easiest way to go about it. God bless you as well, Snare. It's great to see you again. It's been a long time. Hopefully you and fam are very, very well. I'm going over time right now, so I think I'm probably going to work on rendering a building either tonight or tomorrow. I'm sorry that I'm not going to be able to do an airport one stream again, but I am going to save it this time, and I do have plans to make this available for download at some point. So before we wrap up for today, I am at least going to create a painted line, and we are going to do that right now. So let's do this. We are going to create a painted line group, and I'm going to start with the default line. But before I do anything, I'm going to hide my surfaces so that I can at least see my rendered area. So we're going to want to hold short line here. I don't think we're going to need to have the taxi line go all the way into the runway. Little snare number 4. Congratulations. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. That's unbelievable. That's unbelievable. Congratulations, man. That's awesome. Praise the Lord. All right. So we're going to create a default line, and we're going to start clicking in anywhere. Default line here. So I can probably get pretty close to what the taxiway points are, and we can make curvy lines kind of like before. And these also, I think, are beholden to a few rules when you're rendering objects. So you'll probably see that the more we actually take a look at the scenery and render the points. But for now, all I'm going to say is when you render these taxiway lines with painted lines, you're going to be able to tie them together and here we go. The one thing that I forgot was whether or not you could take segments and paint them again. So I'm going to stop there. That is painted line number 1, and we are going to move this into a painted line group. And we're going to say literally painted lines. And inside this group, we're going to have a subgroup called taxiways. And that line will be there. And we are going to actually paint this white because it looks like it's white to me. It does look that way. It does not look yellow. I'm not sure if I'm wrong, but it looks white. Considering this is a general aviation airport that's non-towered, I'd say there's a good chance that could be true. So, for this segment, I would say we should be able to pick a material. Oh wait, hold on. I'm not looking at the painted line. Yeah, this is it. So this is a painted line. Let's see. It's going to be an optional material, which means I'm going to pick painted line, Asobo paint, and paint rough. No, paint rough. There we go. And there's your white line. Bam. So there you go. The entire line is white because unlike the taxiway, the entire thing you render is one unit. So let's go ahead and try it again. We'll start over. Oh, before I do that, let me go ahead and label this. Main taxiway. And then we're going to render another line, a few more segments, and then we'll have this one licked for right now. So let's go ahead and make this the solid, or the stronger line. And then do that, stop, and it's going to be the, I think it's edge line dashed. Oh wait, hold on. This has to be different. Edged, no, not edge. It's what is it? It's not wide yellow. It's oh, enhanced center. Yes, there it is. So there we go. That's actually pretty close. That's good enough. And we'll do the same thing with the painted material. Only problem is painted material makes it not work. Is it because the vertices are too close to each other? No, that's not it. So that's weird. How would you have enhanced? No, you know what? We'll keep it that way. We'll keep it that way. I'm going to make the assumption that the whole short marker is going to be yellow as well, and then the taxi line going into the runway is going to be yellow. I don't know why one part of the taxiway will be yellow and the other part white, but again, learning experience for me. So we're going to do the hold short marker for 6 right now, and then we'll get started. This is the entire line, and we're going to make this a hold short. Hold short forward. And we're going to make this hold short a line better. I'm not too worried about it. There we go. We got a hold short line, and now we can actually render a new line. And I'll probably render the line from here in. And right back to here. So, done. This is not an edge line. This is a default line. And that's it. I don't know why this looks the way it does. I want to throw it away and start over. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. So we're going to do this from here going out. Nope. All right. Should be default line. And we will take that last piece and drag it to the runway. Only problem is, for some as yet unexplainable reason, the texture wants to go bananas. It's going bananas. Okay, there we go. I'll take that. It's a little bit off the taxi line. Who cares? I do, but not to that great an extent. So we're going to grab the taxi line. Oh, that was a taxi line. Excuse me. Yeah. Okay, good. Done. So now we have a taxiway. We have a taxi line. We can get to the runway And that's it. The only thing that we have left to do is actually to get the, oh, overlapping geometry. Usually when I move it a little bit, even a little bit, there's usually like a kind of like snap that happens, which usually fixes the problem. So, let's do this. Let's make a start point here. Actually, wait. Let's make a start point where? Here, I think. Does it even matter? No, it doesn't. So let's do this first. Let me create a start point so that you don't have to pick a specific spot. Not airport, not airport, sim object, taxiway parking. Taxiway parking, yeah. So ramp GA, we're going to add a point and we're going to put it here. Now, if you guys want to have traffic load in, you want to pay attention to the size of your circle. Depending on how big these circles get, you'll either have strictly GA aircraft, you might have some business jets, and you might have the occasional chartered airliner. So you can do ramp GA small. Those are the kind of like type designators, but what really matters is the radius. I believe anything smaller than 7 meters will not render a general aviation aircraft. Anything from 7 to I think 10. Oh yeah, I think literally it's driven by size. So if you have 15, you go medium. 14, 13, 12, 11, 9, 8, 7. There we go. 7 is a differentiator between small and medium. And I think if you go smaller than 5, you're not going to have anything. So where would the nose be pointing? I forget exactly where the point actually is placed, but I'm going to put it here and see how it's rendered in the sim. Also, we're going to make another taxiway point and connect it. We're going to add one more spot. Oh, excuse me, we're not doing that. We're doing this. So we have a taxi point selected. We're going to do one more spot into here. And it's not a hold short point. It's normal. And that's it. We do that. We're done. And now what we're going to do is we're going to tie this together to the actual ramp. So we are going to choose U, which fortunately is in the taxi points and paths section. And then we're going to choose U as well. And now that we've control clicked this with the left control button, we should be able to right click it and say create path. And now we have a path from a parking spot at the airport to the taxiway to the runway. So we have the bare minimum required to actually get you in the air at Ocean Isle. And what am I missing? Oh, I can probably do a lot with the actual taxi point. First off, change the heading again so that it faces the way I want it to. Da-da-da. More or less. And properties. We have, I'm going to say parking 1 for now. It's small parking, number 1. And no suffix. It does not have a number marking. That's it. 1 parking spot. That's it. We actually have a, believe it or not, we have a runway with an airport area marked off with no trees or buildings in it. We have a working taxiway. We have a runway start position, actually 2 runway start positions, plus a start position on the tarmac. And we have the beginnings of some textures. We also have a major problem going on here with some geometry. So let me fix this before I get out of here. There we go. Okay, I'll leave that alone, and I am good. I think this is a taxiway point, and I have no clue why. The taxi paths don't have any kind of drawing on them. Oh, excuse me. We're not drawing the surface, but they have material. So let's do this. Let me go ahead and select the link path. We're going to get rid of the material, and we're not going to have ground merging. And that's it. That's really weird, but at the same time, I'm good. Okay, so we've got a taxiway, we've got the beginnings of a scenery. I need to work on the buildings, which I'll probably work on either tonight or at some point this week. We have a runway with pappy lights, and we have runway edge lighting. We have no centerline lighting here, and it's like, oh wait, where are your textures? They haven't gone anywhere. What I'm going to do is this. We're going to reselect the runway and repaint it. And now we're going to reselect our aprons. That apron exists, and then we're going to have the taxiway render, and then we're going to have the other paved area render, and then we have the parking for the system. But before we do that, we're going to move this out of where it is right now because it can't be there. We're going to push it all the way up to the top, and this is going to be a new group called Start Positions. And that means now I have another path I can use. What is this painted line for? Where do I have a painted line? That's a painted line for the painted lines section. This is for the runway ingress taxi line. And we're going to move this into the painted line section. And what else is out there? We have a taxi path of parking, which we'll put in the taxi path section. And now, painted lines, runway ingress taxi line, and what do we have? Let's see, taxiways, main taxiway. Painted line. I'm going to call this enhanced centerline taxiway. And then we have the hold short line. Or just call it hold short. Okay, so hold short, enhanced centerline, main taxiway, and taxi path parking. Those are the painted taxiways. Is that painted at all? Should it be? I don't think it should be. So if this is a taxiway, that's the is it actually? What is this? Taxi path. Yeah, this is an actual path. So this needs to go into paths. Taxi points and paths. Okay, there we go. So runway ingress taxi line. And we'll move that into taxiways. There we go. So painted lines. And that's all taxiway stuff. And there we go. Now we have a whole bunch of rendered things grouped neatly. Don't mind the wobbliness. That's just the, what is it called? The frame generation for my NVIDIA. And yeah, now we have the beginnings of an airport scenery. Again, I would have liked to have moved a lot faster on this, but unfortunately I lost 20 minutes at the beginning because I wasn't paying attention. And now we can keep fleshing this out. And I will make a backup copy of it. So let me, I think, I don't know. I'm potentially going to be going back to DX11 if it helps take away the problems with texture rendering. So we'll see what happens at that point. I ran out of time for today, but I want to keep working on this. So I'm probably going to do more work on the buildings tonight. Uh, Come back to the airport scenery and put in some default fence, or maybe even make my own fence. And unfortunately, it looks like the edge lighting is not showing up where I want it to. So if I'm going to do edge lighting, I could probably put it in by hand and make it line up more with the satellite imagery. On top of the fact that I'm going to want some taxiway lighting as well. So that's going to be probably homework for this week in terms of the runway lighting, the basics for the airport. But I definitely want to make sure I render these buildings to make sure to give this airport some charm, maybe even a few signs and whatnot. But I'm relatively pleased with how far we've come so far. It could have been easier or faster, but I don't know. I guess I always feel like when I get started, I can actually render an entire airport in one pass, but I'm explaining it as I go, so it's also me kind of splitting my brain in two separate directions, be as it may. Let me build this again just to make sure it actually builds. We shouldn't have a problem because we have a connected runway with taxiways to parking, and we shouldn't have an issue with the airport property itself. And then eventually we'll put the fencing and all the stuff around it, better lighting, all the stuff, and we'll see what happens. For today, though, I think unfortunately I'm going to call it short. It's getting on 6:15, and I do want to start getting ready for the rest of the afternoon, tomorrow, and just chilling out. There is a possibility that I'm not going to be doing anything tonight, and I'm just going to parcel out or push further into the week with regards to everything that I'm working on. But guys, thank you so much for being here with me while I went through all this. I'm hopeful to actually work on this as a part of one of the summer sceneries that I'm going to be doing. I would like to see what I could do to really make this shine. And I don't know. I don't know what else is going to happen. But that's it for now. Appreciate your time. Appreciate your support. And like I always like to say at the end of every stream, if you want true peace, you want the Prince of Peace. And that is Jesus Christ. Take care, friends. Check out my Twitch channel, I guess, about page to see more about ways you can support me. And if you are interested and you don't mind, I do have a Buy Me a Coffee account where you can actually make a donation if you want to. Donations are never required. They're always appreciated. Even if all you do is say hello, thank you so much. Right back at you, Snare. Love you, love your soul, and take care. Maybe we'll catch up on Discord sometime this week or in the months to come. But otherwise, guys, thanks so much for your time. Take care, and God bless you all. I'm going to go ahead and just sign off for now. Have a great night, and until next time, we'll see ya.